We're on the clock with a minute to explore a handful of notable headlines from the week. Let's start here. New Mexicans bid farewell this week to former Governor Dave Cargo. John, Lonesome Dave was dubbed a maverick Republican back in the day, but it seemed like he inspired admiration from all kinds of folks here. What are your favorite memories of Governor Cargo?
Well, I have a lot of memories. One of the things I ran into the governor, a lot of people don't realize just what a brilliant man he was. He would literally read a book or two a day.
Wow. I
once was in a bookstore while he had a stack of books, a couple of feet high that he was just buying that day.
Yeah.
He's a fascinating guy. He's the only person I think in New Mexico history that will have served as governor of the state and treasurer of the state of Oregon. He was an amazing guy.
Interesting. Quickly, Diane, your memories.
I met Governor Cargo back in my hometown, used to at the big St. Patrick's Day celebration. He always came. Yeah. To me, he was a Renaissance man, reminds me of Lorenzo de Medici. But yeah, and he would entertain kings and elected officials, but he had the touch and the empathy with every single one of us.
Right.
He could just talk to you.
Yeah.
And cared about you.
Interesting. Your memories, Laura?
I did not have an opportunity to know him well. I met him several times, but he was so well liked, and so many people spoke very well of him. And I think he was just one of those humble public servants that
he had great film stories of the bit back in the '60s. Jimmy Stewart on the plaza, everyone's drunk. He had great stories. We're going to miss him. I like Dave Cargo. We're going to miss him. Now, the majority of employees at the University of New Mexico Hospital will see a second year without any pay increase. That's despite the fact the hospital has large reserves. Mr. Nikolewski, it's a challenge to keep up healthcare going and keep healthcare. But workers here, when they can make more money elsewhere, they leave, as we heard a minute ago from Senator Snyder. UNMH has come under some criticism from outside for outsourcing. Is there some common ground that could be found here in your view? Is the horse out of the barn on this one?
Let's hope so. Although the administrators at UNMH haven't been getting raises either. Yeah. So yeah, let's hope we can turn something around.
Yeah. What do you think, Laura? Why is this always such a quagmire at UNMH?
Well, I'm not sure why, but if there are some, if they have a surplus of any sort, if they have reserves, then they should be considering how to make sure that they take care of their workers. Otherwise, they will leave.
That's right. Diane, this is in your bailiwick. Your thoughts?
I agree with that, except we have to look in terms of that reserve. What kind of conditions are on it? How is the money raised? Yep. Can we actually put it into administration and salaries? Exactly. But you have to take care of your workers. Or we have no healthcare system.
There you go. John, your thoughts?
Well, I agree with that. I think that there's a common sense. We just can't afford not to pay people a competitive wage, especially in healthcare.
Or we lose them. We get the 1 out of 3 states. Amazing. Yep. I'm still bugged by that. Anyway, on the heels of this comes the news that UNM President Bob Frank, who completed his first year in the job in June, surprisingly. See, time goes by so quickly.
Amazing.
It's amazing, isn't it? But he's going to get a $25,000 bonus for improved student retention rates. That was part of his contract. And UNM that he negotiated, Laura, is this part and parcel of how it goes now? If I remember this correctly, he took a bit of a less salary than the previous presidents, but the incentives are almost like an NFL player. If you make certain things, you get big bonuses. How does that work for you?
Well, I think if you can move stuff into incentives, I think it gives a little bit more comfort to the board and to the organization that there's, you're in it with them and they're meeting certain requirements. The interesting thing, though, is that during a bad economy, students, it's a great time to go into, education, where you're basically working on your degrees because you can't find a job. That's so right. I'm not sure how much of that is benefited, the president in terms of retention at the
I can think of a dozen people that fit that criteria. Exactly. Went back to school. At the top of my head. That's an interesting point. Rob?
Well, apparently one of the incentives in the clauses was whether or not the graduation rate increased, and it went up from 45.1 to 45.8 in the space of a year. So if an executive is going to get some incentives, I'm okay with them as long as they are heading in the right direction. I get heartburn when you see an executive when the company or whatever he's in charge of does poorly and he still gets
That's right. Too often. I'm going to hold you guys there just for time issues. Sorry about that. The White House has delayed by 1 year a requirement under the previously mentioned Affordable Care Act that businesses provide health insurance or face a fine. Business groups had objected to the provision, which will now take effect in January of 2015. Diane, and what do you think this indicates about the implementation of this act? Is this a sign of trouble, or did the administration actually listen to people and say, okay, we hear you, we need to
I
hold
think
off
some
on
of
this?
both, but I think
Okay.
it's a very clear indicator that we're going to see other extensions coming on other parts of the program, because people really do want to get it right
Gotcha.
the first time.
Gotcha.
So I think we will, and I think the government understands
Sure.
that the impetus was there, but you have to do it right.
Sure. For large employers, John, this was a heck of a thing to implement. It seems aggressive, and now we've got some
Right,
room
and
here.
Diane's the expert on this stuff, but I mean, I have had some clients that have been dealing with implementation issues, and it is very complicated.
Right.
And so I think that the fact that the administration is taking the approach, hey, I think it's a listening moment for the White House, and they realize that it just wasn't going to come together. I think especially in New Mexico, we really need to have the exchanges
Right.
figured out.
Yes, there you go.
Most importantly first.
That's
Yeah.
right. 10 seconds. You've done a lot of reporting on that, Rob, so.
This
would you agree?
reminds me of
Yeah.
what Colin Powell said about Iraq. You break it, it's yours.
Right.
And for the Obama administration, the ACA is all theirs.
Interesting. I'll hold you there. Laura, is the city different? Also the city snobby? An article in Travel and Leisure recently, I love saying that, recently ranked Santa Fe among the top snobby cities in the U.S. That idea got a boost from reaction to plans to shift the winter Spanish market from Santa Fe to Albuquerque, by the way, prompting an outcry from some artists. Laura, let me start with you on this. You know, there's a lot of different ways to look at snobbishness. You know, one man's snob is just another person's shy. You know what I mean? It's just, who cares at the end of the day? But what did you mean? Do they need this to have on their back that they're a snobby city?
I think it depends what parts of Santa Fe you're rolling in.
Aha.
Let's say, 'cause
Right,
if you're in, if you're in Museum Hill,
Yep.
if you're at the Shishi shops, near the plaza, then yeah, it's a little more upscale.
Sure.
But there's some, real places in Santa Fe too, and if you're in those areas, I
Quite
wouldn't
real.
call them. Yes, I wouldn't call them snobby at all.
That's right. Rob, what do you think?
I live in Santa Fe.
Yep.
I imagine that the people in Santa Fe might start taking a closer look at these things, because this is the third poll which Santa Fe did poorly. There was one a couple years ago that Santa Fe had the ugliest people
I missed that. Are you kidding me?
and the worst dressed. So
Really?
we're getting the trifecta on something you don't
How
want.
can you be a snob and dress bad?
It does happen.
Does it happen?
It does
That's
happen.
amazing. Diane, your thoughts on that?
Same thing. We also had that restaurant service was the worst tourism. So they actually went in and did training, special training, and the Restaurant Association did. I think it's a matter of perspective. I believe that sometimes when you're really proud of something,
Right.
people think you're being snobby about it and
Yep.
thinking you're better than.
Good for you.
Well, I'd like to see more pride in
Good
New
for
Mexico.
you. I think you hit it right there. Good for you. John, get a word in
Being a
with
guy
that.
who's born and raised in Santa Fe, when these lists come out, I'm always objecting. But then I realize that a snob would object to a list like
There you go. So just let it.
So I don't know what to make of it.
Self-effacing.
Well done, sir.
Very
Well
good.
done.
Okay.
Senator, good to see you. Glad
to
you were
see you.
here.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
You got it. As always, all of us here at New Mexico in Focus appreciate your time and your effort to stay informed and engaged. Now, catch up with us anytime on social media by searching New Mexico in Focus. And you can find archived interviews and often bonus material from our shows on our YouTube channel. I'm Gene Grant. We'll see you next week in Focus.